New England Public Media is sponsored in part by our contributing viewers and by
MassLive Media, business consultants, media specialists, and lead generators, supplying marketing and media as either a full-service agency or as consultants. Imagine more together.
You're watching New England Public Media, WGBY Springfield.
This fall, New England Public Media honors Hispanic Heritage Month with stories that celebrate the culture, heritage, and accomplishments of Hispanic and Latino Americans. From the 70-year career of award-winning actress Rita Moreno,
wear your nationality like a flag,
to the sights, sounds, and flavors of the U.S.-Mexico border with Chef Patty Hanich, to a celebration of Latinx excellence during the Hispanic Heritage Awards, and more. Watch live or stream anytime to learn more about Hispanic culture.
Coming up, stories we're connecting you with tonight. A seasoned photojournalist reflects on capturing an iconic image of the September 11th attack on the World Trade Center.
And I heard the biggest explosion I've ever heard as I was raising the hatch. And I climbed up onto the roof and looked towards the city, and both of the buildings were on fire.
A reporter shares what it was like covering a nation-defining moment like 9/11 here in Western Mass.
You never know who might have been in that building. I mean, we had fully 20 or more families whose lives were changed forever right here at home.
And visit an open-air sculpture exhibit hosted on the grounds of noted author Edith Wharton's Berkshire's homestead.
I think I was just kind of drawn to the idea of coming to see flowers and some nature, and that's when we got to see the artwork, which was a neat surprise to kind of come and see.
We'll bring you those stories and more as we explore the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. Up next on Connecting Point.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for Connecting Point. I'm Saidalis Bauer. Tomorrow marks the 20th anniversary of the September 11 attacks on the Pentagon and World Trade Center in New York City. On that fateful day, Springfield native Mark Phillips was living with his wife and daughter in Brooklyn. A seasoned photojournalist, Phillips immediately grabbed his cameras to capture the terror attacks as they unfolded. One of his photos, known as Satan in the Smoke, became a worldwide phenomenon and an indelible image of one of the nation's darkest days. Phillips shared his memories of 9/11 and what it was like capturing such an iconic image with producer Dave Frazier.
The World Trade Center buildings, the Twin Towers, were just so imposing. I mean, everybody complained that they were boxy, but as a photographer, when you looked at those buildings, all day long, the light would change on them. You could get half the building lit, half of it in shadow. You could get shimmering light going across it from reflections off the water. So the buildings just had a remarkable effect for photography. They just dominated the skyline. 9/11/2001, my wife and I, we were both working at that point, and we both had places we were supposed to be that day, but it was my daughter's first day of preschool at Montessori. So we both decided to stay home, walk her to school, and go off and do our jobs and be back in time for her getting out. But that morning changed radically when my wife shouted to me from the living room. She goes, "Mark, you've got to come see this."
And we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
I looked out our front window and I could see smoke coming up from Lower Manhattan. So I ran and grabbed my cameras, and we were in a building roughly 3 miles from the World Trade Center footprint. And we had a roof deck on top of our co-op building. So I ran up, started climbing the ladder to go up onto the roof, and I heard the biggest explosion I've ever heard as I was raising the hatch to go up on the roof. And I climbed up onto the roof and looked towards the city, and both of the buildings were on fire. I had 2 cameras, a digital camera and a film camera, and the digital camera was higher, so it was the one I grabbed first, and I shot about 6 frames before I dropped the camera down again, and then shot some film photos. You know, I went with the digital because I had to develop film, so I slapped the card from my digital camera into my computer. The first picture came up, and it was like, it looked really good. So I got on the phone with AP, I worked out a deal with them, and I hit send, never knowing what was really contained in the smoke of that photo. That next day, I woke up in the morning and I turned on my computer, and when I hit get mail, it was just one email after another, just kept coming in. And then my phone rang, and it was my photo agent. And the first words out of his mouth was, "Did you know that there was a face in your photograph?" I feel like this image was one of the first social media viral images of this digital age. 2001, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, you know, there wasn't a dissemination method for digital images because it only ran in 2 newspapers. But it was emailed. I mean, I would have to guess it was emailed almost 1 million times. It was so hard to believe that the buildings were gone. The night after the attack, we went to the Brooklyn Heights Promenade, and people had laid out candles and pictures of missing people on the rails, and you just looked at that and you couldn't believe what was going on. To have the 20th anniversary on a Saturday kind of is poignant. So, you know, you kind of feel like you have to give that day to the remembrance. Every time I look at the new building, I think about what's gone. And it still feels raw 20 years later.
The September 11th attacks may have taken place in New York City, the Pentagon, and a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But the events of that day impacted communities across the country, including right here in Western Massachusetts. Cynthia Simison, the current executive editor of the Republican, MassLive, and El Pueblo Latino, was working in the newsroom on September 11, 2001. She joined me to reflect on what it was like to cover a story of that magnitude locally and how we continue to honor the lives lost and those impacted by this day.
I was actually on my way from an appointment in Westfield, so as I arrived, it was just after 9 o'clock, so the first plane had struck. We knew that. And everyone, as I remember, was literally glued to the TV screens. It was, you know, I think it was reflective of all of us everywhere, whether we were at work or home or school. The enormity of it was like, what is going on, and how is this happening?
As you mentioned, we were all glued to the TV during that moment, no matter where we were. This is nationally, and I'm sure internationally. Mm-hmm. Everyone was watching this event as it unfolded. How do you cover a story of this magnitude on a local level?
Well, the thing that happened in our newsroom was I got an email from a friend in Westfield that somebody I knew and this person knew was in the building that day. It was Dan Trant, who worked at Cantor Fitzgerald. And I shared it with a coworker, Tom Shea, who had known Danny from the sports world. He was a basketball player. And that's when it kind of struck a lot of us that there could be other people we know. There could be other people from Western Massachusetts that are being impacted this day.
Back in 2001, we didn't have the same access to information at our fingertips as we do today. What was it like to be that lifeline of information to this region of the events of that day as they were unfolding?
You bring up a major aspect to this, is that not everybody had cell phones. I mean, thank goodness for those families who were able to capture final moments with their loved ones. but things just weren't that readily available. So the internet was fairly new. The concept of online news was still in its infancy in a way. So the printed newspaper was really delivered the news in the home at the same time people were watching the national news on TV.
So now, looking back 2 decades later, are there any stories or images that really have stuck with you after that day that impacted the communities locally, either directly or indirectly?
You know, I think each one of us has some image that's iconic, that's moving, that's tragic, that's, you know, I like to think I tend to be a positive person. So, you know, in talking to our editors here, quite frankly, I look to that photo of President Bush with his arm around a firefighter, the American flag, being a positive, we will endure.
And as somebody who was working for the media that day and continues to do so, how did this event change your perspective and what did you learn from it in your position?
I'm not sure it changed my perspective, but it's a reminder that, you know, in many ways, all news is local. Just like all politics is local, that you never know who might have been in that building. I mean, we had fully 20 or more people, 20 or more families whose lives were changed forever right here at home. And then we had first responders and other good people who got in their cars or trucks or as units went to help with the search, went to be present at the funerals of firefighters and other first responders. I think it speaks to the kind and caring communities that surround us.
I know that MassLive, the Republican, are working on a special series to commemorate this day. Talk to me more a little bit about what you're planning on doing.
Well, this series it's running over the course of 8 days, and our editors conceived it as a way not to just document what happened that day, but to share the legacy and what's happened in the interim 20 years, whether it be to the families who were affected or and a piece that we'll be publishing this coming Sunday on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and how a whole nother group of families, our lives, are being impacted, and veterans, and were it not for 9/11, they would not be there, you know. So it has a continuing effect on all of our lives.
And locally, people continue to remember and honor those lost on 9/11. A memorial service honoring the fallen is taking place right now at the Springfield 9/11 Memorial. We've heard from a photographer on the ground in New York and a local reporter about what it was like covering September 11th. In an online exclusive, former Bush advisor Brad Blakeman reflects on serving in the White House while events unfolded on 9/11 and the days that followed.
I found it odd that a small aircraft on a beautiful day with unlimited visibility would hit that tower. And so I was thinking about that. Not shortly after that, the second plane had hit. And I turned to my assistant, Kara Fig, and I said, this is an act of terrorism. And I left my desk and walked down the hall to the Situation Room, expecting them to have more information, and they did not. They were watching things happen in real time, as everybody else. Typically, I had the president scheduled for 21 days. That schedule was now irrelevant, and we were scheduling by the minute.
You can find this interview as well as extra features, digital-only content, and so much more online right now at nepm.org/connectingpoint. From late spring until early fall, visitors to the Mount in Lenox, Massachusetts can enjoy a free outdoor art exhibit at the hillside property of American author Edith Wharton. The partnership between the estate and this group of sculptors known as Sculpture Now has endured since 2013 and has inspired day trip visits by people from all walks of life, hailing from all points on the map. The exhibit features the works of more than 30 artists, and Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan visited over the summer to bring us this next story.
first-time visitors to the Mount in Lenox, Massachusetts, the home of American author Edith Wharton and National Historic Landmark, are likely captivated by its beauty and serenity. The landscaping alone is enough to draw in its annual 50,000 visitors. Whether it's this ivy-covered stone wall that surrounds the courtyard on the lower left side of the estate, or the manicured hedgerow walkways, the scenery could be described as visually striking while at the same time physically calming. But not to be outdone by the beauty of nature, this cultural center hosts a free-to-the-public art exhibit known as Sculpture Now. They're an organization that started over 20 years ago with a small group of sculptors who wanted to show their work in the Berkshires. And after a meeting with the Mount's executive director in 2013, they found a home here every year from June through October.
I came up here for music and I met Susan Whistler and asked her, would you be interested in having a sculpture show here? And she said yes, really, very much. So that was our first year and it worked really well. The Mount was happy, Sculpture Now was happy, and the artists were really happy to have beautiful sites.
Those sites can be found scattered along the hillside, where a sign like this one is not only aimed at people behind the wheel, but pedestrians as well.
It's about a quarter of a mile walk from the parking area to the house, and we want people to really take their time. And the sculptures help people to do that, because normally they can walk past trees and meadows and not really see them. But once you have a beautiful piece of art very carefully placed in the middle of it, it causes people to pause.
One such piece is this one, known as Wildfire. What at first may appear to be one of the property's trees that was struck by lightning is actually the artist's way of calling attention to the devastation taking place in her home state of California. It's a project that was a year in the works, a majority of that time spent casting the glass flames that sit atop this work of art.
It's labor intensive, but in the end, I'm able to bring light and color into the work. And this piece in particular, if you see it with the sun going through it, my vision was that the flames would look like they're on fire, and the sun really does help.
The foot traffic at the Mount hailed from all points on the map, with curiosity being the driving force in their day trip to this outdoor art museum. And with nature serving as the canvas, there is no time wasted in giving patrons the full three-dimensional art experience.
As soon as we came in, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is going to be different. Then I saw the sculptures behind me over here. It looks kind of like ghosts and things. And so we're like, oh, this is really neat. It's different than your normal museum.
The piece in question can be viewed along the Ledgewalk Trail and is titled Artifactual. It's a mix of ethereal, beautiful, and spooky all at once. And it's emblematic of the diverse array of sculptures on display here.
Before I came here, the only photo I saw was of the buffalo sculpture on the hill, so I was expecting there to be sort of a Pink Floyd album cover vibe to this exhibit. But as I walk along these trails and the roadway, seeing over 30 sculptures, I would say there's more of a Chronicles of Narnia dreamscape feel to this place.
By design, each sculpture is set apart from the others to not only give them each their own space, but to also create that unique marriage between the industrial and natural world.
There's such a big contrast between it just being in nature and it seems out of place, but then I feel like the more you look at it, it seems like you can take it in all together and like it belongs even to a degree.
As mentioned earlier, the natural beauty of the Mount attracts countless visitors from far and wide throughout the entire calendar year. But for the first-timers who just happen to arrive between the months of June and October, Sculpture Now offers up a nice bonus feature to the landscape.
I'm all the way from New Jersey and came to experience the beauty. For me, the sculptures were an extra surprise.
Speaking with my friend, she had told me about this garden where it used to be an author's house. So I think I was just kind of drawn to the idea of coming to see flowers and some nature, and that's when we got to see the artwork, which was also like a bonus, a neat surprise to kind of come and see.
Two-time Grammy Award-winning storyteller, musician, and writer Bill Harley recently released a new book entitled Now You Say Yes. The novel tells the fictional story of a young girl, her on-the-spectrum brother, and their monumental cross-country journey after their mother passes away. The Massachusetts-based author spoke with me about the book, how his career began, and what he enjoys most about being a storyteller.
When I was in college, I got a guitar and I started to write songs. And my friends and I, we started a day camp in the town where our college was, and I had a dozen songs we'd sing every morning, and in the afternoon when the counselors were sick of the campers and vice versa, they would say, go see Bill. And so I kind of became the default public health program there. And I had a couple of stories that I would tell to go along with that. And I've always been interested in how a story kind of contextualizes. It puts something in its place, whether it's a song, it explains in a way that nothing else can. And I was just mystified when the kids would just drop whatever they were doing as soon as you say something like once upon a time. It seems to work when nothing else does.
Your latest book, Now You Say Yes, tells a story about a cross-country journey made by a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old on the spectrum brother after their mother dies. Where did the inspiration behind this story come from?
Well, it's funny how it happened, and for me, stories, whether they're books or stories that I tell, they are all kind of thought experiments that, asking yourself, what if? And the genesis of this story was my niece from Los Angeles, where the main character, Mari, is from, was visiting us, and she was 14. I said, you should come visit us more often. And she said, airplane tickets are just too expensive, Uncle Bill. And I said, well, you could drive. And she said, Uncle Bill, I'm just 14. And I said, what if you had to, though? What if you had to drive? Could you do it? So that was really the genesis of the story.
This book explores the foster care system and the autism spectrum. How are you able to authentically portray these characters when they're not necessarily a reflection of your own life?
Well, it's a really good question, and my first response is, I hope I have, and I hope I've honored people who have both of those experiences. So obviously I did a lot of research, both about the foster care system. I talked to a number of people, I read a lot, and I thought about it. And also read and thought a lot about autism, and hung out with people who are on the spectrum, and turned to people who are very active in that community. And then after I read the book, I vetted it with them. That said, you can still get it wrong. And probably in somebody's mind, they'll say, well, I don't think that's right. But in the autism community, one of my friends says, well, we say if you've met one autistic person, it means you've met one autistic person. And that's absolutely true for kids who have been in the foster care system. You can say some things generally, but the specificity of it is something you wrestle with. So I said the answer is very, very carefully, and hoping that you get it right.
One of your rules of the universe is we are more alike than we are different. How will we witness that in your latest book, and why is that rule so near and dear to you?
Well, this book is really, all my work, whether it's been songs or spoken stories or books, I'm asking myself all the time is, what's the universal in this story I'm telling, or this song I'm singing? What does it say about who we are as human beings? And so in this book, Mari has really, her identity is at risk. And she feels isolated. She feels that there's no one really that gets her, and she's afraid of what's going to happen to her. But through the course of the book, through the people she meets and the experiences she has, she begins to understand the ways that we are all connected. And at one of the climax, it's not the climax, but kind of the emotional or spiritual climax of the books, she sees people in a way to understand that everybody is broken. And in some ways, it's that brokenness that we most have in common. And when you see that, the defenses kind of drop and you open yourself a little. So that's very much at the heart of what this book is about.
You're very well known for your songs and stories tailored for young readers. What do you enjoy most about writing pieces for this demographic, and what themes really resonate with you?
I think a kid kids are first checking you out to see what your attitude towards them. And a lot of work for children is prescriptive and also can be condescending. Like, this is something that you need to have. And my work has always been, does this sound familiar to you? Is this something you might have been through? Do you get with this, with the feeling that if I can make that connection, then we're on an equal playing field and they're going to go along with me. So my work tends to be more descriptive than prescriptive. And, you know, children are immediate in their response. And although middle schoolers are a little more reserved, but you know from a kid whether it's working or not, and they buy in. Adults, and I do a fair amount of work with adult audiences, you know, they're all kind of sit there and be polite or not. But if your stuff is not working with a kid, you find out pretty fast and you have to adjust. And I just appreciate that immediacy, and there's an openness to the world that adults, you know, we're covered more. We're all covering up, and kids are less likely to cover up, and I love that about it.
That does it for Connecting Point for September 10th, 2021. Remember, you can always find the stories that you saw tonight, as well as exclusive features, digital-only content, and more online anytime at nepm.org/connectingpoint. And please be sure to join us again next Friday night at 6 right here on New England Public Media for more stories of the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. We leave you tonight with a look at a photo exhibit featuring the work of Chris Marion and Dennis Ledger. The exhibit showcases the installation and dedication of the 9/11 monument in Springfield's Riverfront Park and will be on display at One Financial Plaza in Springfield through September 17th. I'm Saidalis Bauer. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
He's handsome. They know it. Muhammad Ali. Ain't nobody gonna stop me.
22 years old. And he's standing up to the whole establishment.